Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann. I'm also known as the Habit Fixer. And I love working with women over 50 who want to regain their mojo and age well. And I do that through EFT, which it's a really simple tapping technique, and nutrition, skincare, and digital products. And today I've got two guests. Yes, I've got Ciaran and Rachel.
Hello, how are you?
Good to see you both.
Lovely to be here, Julie.
Thank you for the invite.
Pleasure. Now, if you don't know them both, they run Woodstock, not Woodstock, is it? It's Wood Hazel.
Wood Hazel
Consulting. Let's get it right.
Woodstock is good as well, but Wood Hazel is the name of the company.
And they're both experts in sales. And I think today you're going to be talking about building confidence around sales, aren't you?
Sales and marketing as well, Julie, because it's an overall process.
It is.
It's all about confidence building, and it is about, being comfortable in this space.
Yeah, if you've got a great product, but you don't know how to sell it, you don't feel confident.
Yes.
Exactly.
And it's having a process and the ability to be able to not just sell it, but also to market it and sell at the same time. So it just has to feel natural, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And that's what you're going to be talking about. So over to you.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thank you very much for the time, Julie. And this morning we're talking about different positive habits that you might be able to think about, how you might be able to promote, sell, market yourself. And I suppose the first thing first, the person you really have to convince most is yourself. You've got to sell to yourself first so you can promote it to others. Because if you don't believe it, who is going to believe it, And there's various different things you have to do, but the most important thing is to be you, to be authentic, and to be the best of yourself.
So some of the things we kind of try and get people to do, because sometimes we get asked, well, what does that mean? How do we find out who our authentic self is? So we often ask people to do a little bit of an exercise to kind of just think back about all their strengths and all their achievements. What's important to them in life? What are their values? What motivates them? What gets them out of bed in the morning? Why have they got into business? What's the whole excitement and the passion they have for, let's be honest, as business owners, we really have got into business because we're passionate about what we do and we really believe in it. So you really want to own that and if you're not fully connected with it, because obviously we're all wearing lots of different hats at different times, and you sort of sometimes it just feels a little bit overwhelming. So it's sometimes just take it back and do that little bit of an exercise, just ground yourself and realize, you know what, I have a really good story to tell, and tell that to yourself first of all. And it's amazing when you get that, and that gives you that starting point for you then to kind of go, okay, I know where I can sell this to myself because this is who I am.
Yeah. And so really what you're doing is you're putting yourself in the now. You're working from who you are now, not getting too worked up about the past because it's done. There's nothing you can do about it. It's part of your history. And as I say, if it's good history, don't be afraid to use it. But focus on what you have now and not to get too worked up about what's going to happen in the future, because what you do now is going to make a difference. So it's very important. Ground yourself, be who you are now, be the best of yourself, be the most authentic version of yourself, and go out and give it a go.
Yeah. And I think when we're going to meetings, sometimes people feel, oh my goodness, I have to go and see a client and, what do I do? The good news is there's lots of preparation you can do before you go into that meeting. So we've already talked about prepping yourself, but then there's a lot of preparation you can do to find out a little bit about the client or the customer or the partner you're going to. We've got so much information at our fingertips on websites, on LinkedIn. So do your homework, kind of, find out a little bit about that person. Make sure you're comfortable in your subject matter and kind of help to kind of work out the sort of questions, a couple of little questions that you might be able to ask them, really just to start the conversation. So at least when you're going in there, you've done your homework and you know your subject matter.
Yeah. And the other thing as well is be comfortable in yourself, wear what makes you feel good. So if you have a uniform and it's something that, a t-shirt that represents your company, do it. But wear clothes that reflect you and make you happy. if you're going to have the meeting and you know where it's going to be, think about where you might like to go and where an environment that's going to make you feel comfortable. If it's online and you're talking like we're talking from our kitchen. So it's just somewhere where you feel, it's nice and homely, it's comfortable, and we're happy to be ourselves in it. And you know what? It's okay to feel a little bit nervous, because that's part of it. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, and and do that a few times till you feel a little bit better about yourself. If it's a meeting where you think you're going to be online, have a glass of water nearby so you can actually take a sip as and when you need it. It just helps you feel that little bit better. It's all about putting yourself in the position to present yourself in the best light.
One of the things we say to people when they're one of the things we always say to people about, and selling in particular, people have this fear about, oh, I don't know how to sell. And we're going, okay, let's take it back. The first thing you're going to do is have a conversation with somebody. You're actually not going to necessarily, you just don't go straight in and kind of go, okay, this is my product. No, don't do that. Don't even worry about doing that. The most important thing is you're going to meet somebody, and you're going to, have a conversation with them, meet them as people. Like in the same way, if you're in the pub meeting somebody for the first time, or if you're in a canteen or in a restaurant and you're being introduced to somebody, just have that open, friendly conversation. That's what I was saying. If you've done a little bit of homework beforehand and that they're particularly interested in if a football team, or they like arts or craft, or they're into the theatre, or they've done a course in such and such, just find out about that person, because that's really the first thing. And I suppose by having a conversation and being curious about the other person, you will get out of your head. Because a lot of the time when we're feeling lacking confidence, it's because we're worrying in our head about, oh, what am I going to ask? What am I going to do? What am I going to say? And it's because you're thinking in your head rather than kind of, okay, it's not about me, it's about that person. So if you can shift that mindset and think, actually, I'm having a lovely conversation with somebody and I just want to find out about them. And that in itself will make you relaxed. It'll help them become relaxed. And that's the first step.
The other thing is, well, you hit the nail on the head about being relaxed as well. Be flexible. Don't be afraid. It's not all about winning an order, because the fact is you have to be open, you have to be flexible. And, the bare minimum should be that they might be willing to meet you again if it's something that you're interested in. Or, the other thing you might be thinking about is they might be interested in getting more information. So it's not about selling every time. It's about creating the start of a relationship, and hopefully a long-term one, and long-term relationships take a little bit of work, and they take two-way conversations. Listening is ever so key. And I've just smiled because smiling is something as well. If you, like Julie is smiling away there now as well, because that's part of a conversation. You've got to enjoy it, and you have to use body language, good open body language, but also you have to listen, use your two ears as well as your mouth.
And a lot of it is just having a go. I know that for some people that's the scariest bit, but you know what? What's the worst that can happen? Because even if it doesn't go great, that's a huge learning, because you've given it a go, and applaud yourself for having a go. And if you just kind of see, okay, if I'm going to start and just meet somebody and have a conversation, and that's as far as it goes. At the end of it, we would always say, at the end of a call or a meeting, take 5 minutes out at the end and kind of go, okay, so what went really well there? And the starting point might be that you had the session or you had the call, and that's amazing. That's a really good start. And then you might go, oh, that question worked. Oh, great thing. I've actually got a call back next week with them. They were interested. And even if they say they weren't interested, well, they weren't interested because of X, Y, and Z. So sometimes it's just about being brave. You are good enough, and just having a go, and then realizing anything that comes out of it is a learning and a bit of experience is what you're going to build on. And confidence, to be honest, it does lead, like everything, takes practice. You can't, it's not something that you can switch on, especially switch on overnight. Any skill, if you're a, you know, like we're all experts in what we do, and it has taken time to become experts. So in the same way, if confidence is something that you're a little bit uncomfortable with, you know, be fair to yourself. It will take time, but over time, and as long as you try a few little tricks along the way, you will get better and it'll become more natural for you.
Review, enjoy it, and keep going for it. And you know what? That's the best positive way to start. And be positive. You know, I suppose we can kind of leave you with a little thing that we think about, which is just a little review of the day, just to say, what are the 3 things that were good in my day? They don't all have to be about work. They can be actually 3 good things that happened today. You could then think about 3 learnings that you've had as well. And what are the 3 things you're going to do differently because of the good things and the learnings that you've had? It's a fairly basic little thing, and we call it a packet 3. And it's getting you into a positive mindset. It's getting you to think, do you know what? I had some learnings as well. And because of the positive things and the learnings, I'm going to try things a little bit differently. And then take action.
Yeah, so I suppose in summary, we always find that the easiest thing to do is to start with yourself, because confidence does come from within you, really. And yes, selling is, there are lots and lots of different approaches out there. And over time, and that's the other thing, is people sort of have a perception of what selling is. A lot of it is working out what works for you. It's not the same for everybody. Everybody has a different style. And to be honest, the best approach is to be your best self, be authentic, because people buy from people. So that's why when we always talk about something around confidence, we always start with the person, and we start with that kind of ground zero, and then you build on it. Yes, over time, and as you do more selling, there's lots of techniques and sophisticated approaches that you can take, but that's for another day. But, you know, for a lot of people, you know, that, don't worry about that. Get the engagement and the conversations going, and you will be amazed that even just doing that, and as your confidence builds, you'll start to work out your style, and you'll start to win orders without even realizing it. And then that will in itself then grow even more confidence, and you'll be flying. So, you know, give it a go. That's what we say, and take a positive approach to it.
Brilliant. Oh my goodness, I absolutely love your approach. I love the way that you make sales, which can seem so scary for people, seems so, I was going to say normal. I'm not quite sure what normal is, but so sort of easy in a way. And I guess if you're being yourself, and you're being your best self, and your attention is with the person that you're talking to, rather than over here with all this anxiety that's going on, then the conversation is going to flow. Yeah.
And you're not trying to be something that you're not, because sometimes you find people get all worked up. Oh, I have to sell myself. I have to be this way. No, you don't.
No.
Because people are going to get used to dealing with you, and they have to get used to dealing with you. And, you know, there's no point in trying to be something, because then it's actually, you're making it more difficult, because you're having to think about things. Whereas if you're just natural, and so the questioning, Julie, can actually be real questions as well. Instead of trying to think of clever questions, think of questions. Well, actually, I am that interested in the conversation, and go with the question that comes to mind, as long as it's not rude or offensive. But, you know, if it's a genuine thing, go with the conversation like we would if we were in a restaurant, or if we were in a pub, or just having a chat. Go with it, see how it goes, and leave it open. And if you're interested, then you'll be using things like "tell me more," or "is there anything else?" And suddenly the conversation is what it is. It flows, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a question for you, actually. Is it useful at the beginning of a meeting to say something like, what would you like to get out of this meeting? What do you think about that?
What stage you're having at the meeting. I think normally we often ask people how much time they have, because you're grounding it of, you're being respectful of people, you're checking in immediately with how much time have they got. And, you know, you're right, a question like that is very good, because it almost, you're including them straight away, and you're actually getting their input as to what you know, but sometimes people don't know why they're there. You've come along to sort of talk to you about something. So sometimes it's a case of how much time have I got, and sometimes they might say 5 minutes. So so as much as that is that then kind of the most I can do then is kind of have a quick conversation to hopefully put time in our diary to have a proper conversation.
Absolutely.
So it's
That's a really important point, isn't it? Because there's nothing worse than going in and thinking that you've got 20 minutes, but actually this person's only got 3 minutes, and you're being a complete pain in the ass because you're overstepping that time.
And
So it's good to get clear. I think, you know, clarity is so important, isn't it?
It is.
And you hit the nail on the head there, Julie, as well, with regards to the fact, if you just go in and start telling them and just going, I'm going to tell you this, and I've got this, and wait till I tell you more, you might have used up your 5 minutes. Whereas if you're asking questions, good, honest, open questions, and an open question is who, what, where, why, when, which requires people to open up. If it's a closed question, it requires a yes or no answer, and that's when you just want to clarify something. So, did I hear you correctly? We have 5 minutes, and then they'll either go yes or no. But exactly as you say, how much time have we got, or what would you like to get from this meeting, gives them a little bit of opportunity to be able to open up and tell you where they're at. The only thing I would say, if you open up straight away with what would you like to get from the meeting, it might appear that you're only there just to talk. You know, that it's maybe a little bit too transactional. So maybe leave it a question or two in once you've actually, you know, as I say, Rachel's one about asking how much time. It means you're professional, and it also means that you're actually giving them respect, and it's a nice way to be. And if you have 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, try to keep it that way. And when you get to that time, then you say, you do realize we've got to the 20-minute point. Are you happy to continue or whatever? So that'll give you an indication as well as to how things are going. Or you might already have done so well anyway that the meeting might be over. It just depends. It's whatever way it goes. But the initial thing is to start off as professional and respectful as you can be, and then plenty of open questions and plenty of listening.
And I guess even if they're a no right now, is it useful then to say, would it be okay if I contact you again in, 2 months or whatever? What do you think about that?
It really depends on where the conversation has gone. You're right. A lot of times people don't haven't made a decision about what they're doing. And you're right, they'll be they'll shut you down or whatever. But it's more, it's kind of turning it on. That this has been a fantastic meeting. We've taken it as far, and understand that actually you need some time to think about it. So let's get some time in our diary now for in a few months' time to continue the conversation. Appreciate that it's not quite right for you now, but let's keep close because it may be further down the line.
Depending on what you're doing. So, for example, if it's coaching or mentoring, the client may not make a decision straight away because it's a big thing for them. Although it's what you're doing every day, for them it's something new, and they might want to speak to other people and be comfortable with that because they'll compare and contrast and see how you're going. So part of it is the beginning of a journey, and the other thing, it might be that it genuinely doesn't suit them to buy at this present moment in time. So actually having, as we said about the flexibility earlier when we were talking, it is having the flexibility to be able to say, well, actually they're willing to see me again. Brilliant. And you put the date in the diary, and rather than you assuming that they have to do the organizing, you can organize it and say, will we meet here again, or will we meet online? I'll send you a Zoom link. So it's that kind of thing, but it's being respectful as well.
So in essence, get yourself in a great space before you go in, do your research. Maybe, if dancing to a great track before you go in works for you, then do that. Don't be attached to the outcome. Have your attention with the other person rather than over with you, and just be in a state of openness and curiosity, and and trust, and know that whatever happens, it is a learning. And like you say, Rachel, we can only get better with practice. So thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
All of Rachel and Ciaran's links will be down below, including a link for Wood Hazel Consultancy. Thank you very much. My links will be there as well. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe. And if you've really enjoyed it, why not share it? Thank
Absolutely.
you very much.
And glad the important thing as well is to enjoy the experience as well, Julie, isn't it? And even if you're not feeling 100% or anything like that, just go in. Remember, they're only meeting you for that 15-20 minutes, and make the most of it, and then relax after you've been. So we're going to have a lovely cup of coffee now and enjoy the fact that we had a great meeting with you.
In your lovely kitchen. Thank you again, Rachel and Ciaran, and thank you so much for watching.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
million.
Julie.
See you again.